Hannah, Penn and Harriet Knight. Hi, Joint MDs of Pablo. Thank you so much for coming in and squishing onto the sofa. We've never had three people. What does after work mean to you?
Getting pyjamas and sweatpants on as quickly as possible. Through the door, get changed, feel comfortable, usually around a football and some kind of kitchen disco in our house.
Getting my Jimmy Jams on too, and watching a bit of reality TV. And then if the sun is still shining, I often like to go out for a run, just kind of sweat out the day.
We're going to roll into the 30k Pablo Living Wage topic because it's such a hot one at the moment. And for me, it's probably one of the most powerful moments in advertising in the last few years. So amazing work. Your big sort of moment, was it in December? Really said a lot to the world of advertising, and in one swoop you've caused such a wonderful commotion. For anyone who doesn't know what it is, can you explain the scheme?
Yeah, so the Pablo Living Wage is our commitment to pay a minimum of $30,000 a year as an annual salary to all full-time staff. And I guess to contextualise it, the minimum wage at the moment is about 18,000, and the average salary in our industry is 24 grand, which hasn't changed since, we started out like 15 years ago. And we were real London Living Wage accredited business, which I think there's about 170 agencies now that are, and that's about a 26,000 salary. So it was a commitment to increase that by about 15% to 30 grand.
And why did you feel it was important?
I think we were looking at two things that were getting noisier and noisier in the industry. There was a reality that people literally couldn't afford to take a job in the industry, which is woeful and quite shameful. And then there was the increasing noise around the cost of living crisis. And when you looked at what all of us have been through, but especially at a junior level, the pandemic rushing into the energy crisis, rushing into this cost of living crisis, it just got to a point where people couldn't comfortably live. And there was just a unique opportunity in our eyes to kind of do something that would hopefully really move the dial on both fronts. Yeah.
Do you think it has?
We hope so, yeah.
I think we've started something. I think it's ignited something, and we have seen a couple of other agencies follow suit with the likes of Neverland, thanks to Josh and team, and St. Luke's as well.
It's such a powerful thing. Like, you don't have to be the first to think up a brilliant idea. You just have to support it. So I was feeling very joyous about you guys making your announcement, and then St. Luke's, and then Neverland, and it stopped. Or publicly it stopped.
It's just one of those things that as a business it takes a bit of time.
I think it's a big decision. You need to think it through thoroughly and all the options. You know, we were in a fortunate position. We've come off the back of a really strong year of new business. We had been planning this for a while, and we were in, fortunately, the financial situation where we could make those commitments to really double down on opening the doors to the next generation of talent. But not everyone, is going to be in that same position. So it might take them some time to work it through.
I know there's a couple of agencies who are doing it who aren't talking about it. So my hope is that there'll be a few more jumping on board soon.
Yeah, we hope so too.
How does the Pablo Living Wage scheme build on what Fiona Gordon and Angela Jane's Living Wage Foundation started? Because I do want to give them a bit of a shout out and praise for what they started.
Well, Fiona and Angela, as I understand it, are co-chairs of the Living Wage Action Group. And I think what they have done brilliantly is put the issue into the spotlight. But we already, as Hannah mentioned, were a real living wage employer. And we felt like we really needed to kind of step it up again and really kind of set a new benchmark for people. Because quite frankly, the 26k living wage, that's not really much more than we started on, 15, 16, 17 years ago. But Hannah and I, we were joking a bit the other day, but we remember used to stealing toilet roll from work so we didn't have to buy it, or waiting for client meetings to be finished so we could pilfer the sandwiches so we didn't have to.
Yeah, totally.
That was back 15 years ago. Now, the average cost of a room in London is just under £1,000. Yeah. How much money are you going to have left from a 26 grand a year salary to actually live? Yeah. People are just surviving, and it's such a shame because this industry has so much to offer, and the salaries a real prohibitor of, healthy, thriving brains, open minds are the things that drive and fuel creativity. And we're really losing out on all of that. So I think, we really respect and are grateful for the work that Fiona and Angela have started. But we really kind of, wanted to push it on and felt that, that's a good baseline. But, even that really isn't good enough. And we needed to kind of supercharge it a bit.
And it made more of a splash than you thought.
the response was just overwhelmingly positive. In a way, maybe we weren't expecting so much, but I think, again, that just shines a light on how shit the situation was.
I think Dan from Creatures talked about that in a really, really great way publicly. Like, let's just be really honest about what we've done. We're really proud of it, but the amount of money we're talking about it's really significant for the individuals. But unless you are, part of a huge holding company network where the implications are thousands of people, you're not talking about money that is going to really move the dial on your balance sheet.
Yeah.
Was there any convincing you had to do at Pablo to sign up for the scheme?
What we have at Pablo, which is a joy, we have a management team that meet very regularly and that are unbelievably enthusiastic and wonderful individuals. And we all have really different viewpoints, and we can bicker and fight and have really healthy, good conflicts around things that we want to, talk about and think about doing in the business. And I think that people that were positively challenging it wanted to make sure that firstly we could permanently and indefinitely that this wasn't just a flash in the pan, and that if we were going to do it, we did it properly, and that involves proper due diligence.
Do you talk about healthy conflict as something within Pablo, something you encourage?
Yeah, there's a lovely phrase that we talk about in the management team around you tell each other the truth and you love each other to death. That's kind of like a natural way of I don't think you're not doing what's right by each other if you're not living that. And it has helped me with that enormously. I mean, my previous agencies, you didn't know where to look for the eggshells that you were walking on. And at Pablo, there's an honesty and just an easiness that comes from people just being able to speak their minds on things.
And, our job is about understanding how best to influence people and work with them and to get the best out of them. So I think it's just recognising the different brains and personality types and thinking, how can I best work with them and have a discussion and get the best out of them.
Yeah.
So.
And actually that brings us beautifully into the two of you and how you two work together. So you are joint MDs. Yeah. You can see the chemistry, you can see the closeness with both of you. And when I came into the office the other day, it was very clear that you guys have beautifully divided and conquered. But just to be honest, when somebody hears that people are doing a joint role, sometimes they can sort of roll their eyes and go, well, that's not really going to work, is it? Because there'll be conflict or competitiveness. Tell me how it works.
Yeah, well, I think this is probably the single most common question we often get asked, because I think more often than not, people think it's a job share. And actually for us, it's complete opposite. It's a partnership. It's a union of two brilliant, badass women. But no, I think it really goes back to how we've got into this rhythm, this dynamic, and why I think it works so well. And I would never, ever be without Hannah. Is our first date. It was just coming out of the pandemic. So we weren't allowed to meet up indoors anywhere. So probably the end of a long line of terrible park dates that I had in my personal life. And by far, this was the best, single-handedly the best first date I've ever had. But I knew the moment when you ordered a hot chocolate, I was like, yeah, that's it, I'm in. We're destined to be together and work together.
That's quite a walk.
Gareth, our CEO, had met Hannah. He'd obviously been interviewing for people who might be, I guess, a good marriage with me. Yeah. It was like an arranged marriage, wasn't it?
We've literally got a window to figure out if this is going to work. So there's no you're straight into who is this wonderful woman as a person? What is she? What's she driving towards? And I think so long as that is aligned, everything else just flips into place. But you've got to make sure, in our experience of it, that you are both motivated to get to the same end goal, and you take the time to set out what that is, so you're not on your own with it. And I think what it's enabled us to do is, I'd say our MD role, it has a really broad remit.
Yeah.
I mean, we're kind of part CFOs, part front of house, part reception. Yeah. Because in an indie you are, aren't you? You're up and down.
Roll your sleeves up and do it all.
Exactly. So it's allowed us, I think, to make the role probably a slightly different shape to what it is elsewhere, because there are two of us, so we can play into more places than you might do otherwise as an MD, which is great, because ultimately you want to be as around the business as you can be, don't you?
What I love about you is you're not competing. You've properly come into this as a formidable team.
Being brutally honest, I know this is going to sound a little bit corny, but it's not just being co-workers, certainly on my part, and I don't think it's the other, or just being co-MDs or colleagues. We genuinely are friends. Yeah. And, you know, I have the same attitude to my relationship with Hannah as I do to any relationship. You know, I think the best relationships are those where you complement each other, but you help build each other and grow and make each other better people.
But aren't you lucky to have that at work?
Yeah.
A lot of, I mean, people find it outside of work and they work hard on it, but you two have found that and worked hard on it inside the office. What's your biggest professional mistake?
Oh, I've got a really good one. I played out a National Lottery advert with the incorrect jackpot amount. God, can't do
Wait, did you add zeros?
Did I? Oh yeah, it was higher than it was meant to be. It was. I advertised it.
How much higher?
Than 7.
30 million.
13 rather than 7. But I caught it before it went on air. But I fully played it out. And
did anyone win that weekend?
No, actually. No.
Okay.
What a disappointment.
You actually were lucky then if it had managed to make
I mean, not really. Sorry, I say what a disappointment. I'd take it. Just saying.
I would not be on this couch.
Take the 7 million, When I was a grad, just starting out, I think I was in my first or second year. I used to work at an agency which had a bar, dangerous, in-house.
Me too. Loved it.
And I don't know why they did this, but the MD's office was directly next to the bar and it was unlocked. And apparently me and some of the other grads decided to go in there and decorate his office with jelly babies, including putting them in his laptop and then closing the lid. So they were just like all wedged, cooking in there overnight. Awesome. Left, got home, next morning, couldn't really remember much. I got called into the MD's office and then he proceeded to show me the security footage that had been captured of me and all my cronies ransacking his office. I literally had a crap my pants moment. I thought I was going to get fired. Absolutely but I was lucky. He saw the funny side of it. And I think also because it was like me and a couple of the other goody two-shoes, it was just really out of character.
Goody two-shoes, except for when it's 2 for 1 in the bar, I guess.
Exactly. I just, completely unleash and have no inhibitions when I've had a few drinks.
I like that. That's excellent. What keeps you up at night?
You can always do more. As a MD, as a colleague, as a daughter, as a mother, you can always do more, which is amazing, but can be quite overwhelming.
That's exhausting. Yeah. Because that could keep you up every night.
And I think that's the joy of a Pablo.
When to switch off.
Exactly. Yeah.
What's the best piece of advice you can give those about to start their career in advertising?
Well, I came to this industry from another industry. I started my professional career in investment banking. And I remember at the time thinking, God, no one's going to have me. They're not going to value the experience I've got. It's all financial. It's not creative at all. I think the big kind of light bulb moment I had when I started interviewing and going to different places is actually... that is the brilliance of our industry. It really values and respects diversity of thought, opinion, experiences, background.
Finish the sentence. If I wasn't in advertising, I would be A.
I would be probably a wedding planner. I love organising. I, even have, you're not going to be surprised by this, a spreadsheet for my holidays. And I can throw a good party.
What about you?
I would be a children's TV presenter.
Well, hey! She's so smiley.
Do you want to just be a presenter?
So just...
That'd be so good.
Get your kids
I'm
out.
very tired. That's it!
Yeah!
Oh, thank you guys. Thank you so much. It was so much fun.
That was really fun. But I think longer term, hopefully it will help that kind of backdoor leakage that we've been having. Sorry, that's a terrible... Totally.